And welcome to today's Wealth WOD. I want to talk today about consolidating debt with single banks when you get to a certain stage in your portfolio. Now, we often talk about not cross-collateralising loans, so not securing one property with the same bank and having two properties with cross-secured, so they're both tied together basically, so the bank, if you default on one, can get hold of the other one. We always disclose everything to banks, but it's good to have your own home, for example, with one bank, investment property with a totally different bank, and you simply draw down on the equity. So, very quick diagram, because I want to get to the main point of this, is basically, if you have a home, you've got deposit and costs. When you purchase it, after a while, this is your home, and you've got some debt, you get some equity. Say if this is with ANZ, most people, to buy an investment property, will simply go to ANZ and cross-secure those, and ANZ will tick it off and say, well done, you've got your investment property. Now, we've been through this before. The issue with that is obviously this cross-securing. If something happens to this, then they've got access to that. So it's just a risk mitigation. Not highly probable, but risk mitigation anyway. Instead, what we do is obviously, we grab this beautiful equity, we bring it out, and we create a line of credit, and we therefore go to any other bank and we use that for deposits and costs. Therefore, we've got two separate loans. But there gets to a point in most investors' lives when they run out of banks. Okay? So what do? What I do is I maintain different banks with different states, and I'll show you the reason for this. So, let's say I've got multiple portfolios. I've got two properties here, two here, and two here. And this is Melbourne, Brizzy, and we'll say Sydney. Alright, if those, call it 6 properties, if those 6 properties are all with one bank, what happens when, yes, obviously we've got a cross-secured issue, so if we've got them with individual banks and markets move at different times. So if Melbourne goes up and Brizzy sort of tinkers along a little bit up and Sydney goes backwards a bit, to release equity, obviously I want to get hold of some of this equity from the market that happens moving in Melbourne. If they're with one bank, that bank will there go out and value my entire portfolio. So they'll value Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney, and they'll go, well, Melbourne's had some growth, you've got 100k here, Sydney's tinkered up, you've got 20k here, but the Sydney market's moved down 15%, so you're minus 75k here. So obviously, I can't access 100 grand. I've been chopped down 55,000, yeah? So I've got an increase of 120k, and I've gone down 75, which obviously leaves me 55. So, instead, what we do is we group all the Melbourne properties with Bank A, Bank B, and Bank C. Therefore, if Melbourne goes up, regardless of what the other two capital cities have done, I can access the equity. Likewise, if one of the other capital city goes up, I can access the equity. So it allows me to duplicate much faster. Yeah? And hopefully by this stage your portfolio is reasonably neutral, so you're not too worried about actually defaulting on a loan or anything like that. So guys, I hope this illustrates that there does get a point where, as much as we say reduce risk, don't cross-collateralise, that's very important in early days, and particularly with your own home, but there gets to a time where you run out of banks and you've got to actually consolidate with single banks. And at that point in time, you can get some pretty good deals because your business is worth quite a bit to a bank. You move from being consumer customer to valued customer in the bank's eyes. So guys, hopefully that gives you a clear understanding. Cheers. Have a good one.